Today we're going to work on fixing a crack in the ceiling that won't go away. There are some you fix, and then after you paint them, they show up again a week later. This will show you how to fix them and have them stay fixed forever. The first thing we're going to do is locate the stud in the ceiling above the crack. And we do that by adding a screw to the ceiling next to the crack. Then we go upstairs and look for it. And look for the screw that we just added, which, as you can see, is right here. That means that this piece here is not attached to this stud. There's two ways we can handle this. The first is to add screws from here at an angle into the stud, but here, since we have easy access, we're going to go ahead and add another stud. Now we removed the screw that we were using to find out where the stud belonged. Now we're adding a piece of wood to the side of the stud, which will give us something to screw into. There we go. And there we go. That's not going anywhere. We'll add one more, just because we like screwing things. Okay. Now we're going to go back downstairs. Now that we've added another piece of support upstairs, that's good. That's good. And one more just for good luck. I'm going to countersink them in just a little bit. Now, as you can see, we're almost not moving anywhere. Let's add one more screw. Are you running? Yep. And we're going to add one screw on this side. Just for good luck. Now that looks nice and tight. Okay, now that this is sat overnight and dried off a little bit, we're going to go ahead and add up a finishing coat. Sometimes it'll take 2 coats, but remember, you want to be thin. The thinner it is, the less sanding you're going to do when you're done. We're using our small knife to add something to work with our large knife. I made this one just a little bit thicker so it's easier to work with. Okay, that'll be enough to cover it. So we'll take this and go and that should do it. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're going to let that sit for a couple hours. We're going to use our finger to flatten out the little spots off to the side. And we should be able to hit it with some sandpaper and some texture, and we're done. Okay, today we're using our texture gun to put texture on a crack we had in the ceiling. We're going to take standard joint compound we got in the big box from Lowe's, and we're going to add some water. You don't want to add a ton of water, but you want it to turn into a milkshake. It takes very little water to do this. As you saw, we put just maybe an ounce in for all of this. That's still a little bit thick, so we're going to add a little bit more water. Okay, and now, after adding that water, we've reached our thickness. Now, what we're going to use for this is a spray gun that we got at Harbor Freight. This is as good or better than the one you'll buy at Home Depot for twice the money, or 3 times the money sometimes. The only thing I added was an air chuck to control the airflow so I don't waste air when I'm not using it. We're working off of an air tank, and with an air tank you don't want to waste any air at all. We don't have a pressure regulator on it, so I only put 50 pounds of air in the tank. For a small job like this, it'll be more than enough. Okay, back out. Notice we don't have a whole lot in there because we won't need much for this job. Okay, now that we're all set up, all we do is aim and turn the air on, aim and shoot. And that's the whole thing. Now stay up there. Now we're going to let it sit and dry for about 5 minutes and come back and touch it with a roller. Okay, now that we've let it sit for 5 minutes, we're going to take our roller and flatten it down a little bit. See, our roller got something on it. Yeah. and we're flattening it down because we've looked at the texture we've got already. And this will help it match. And now it's not much to look at right now, but once it dries and gets painted, you won't be able to tell the difference. And that should take care of that crack. The only thing left is a little bit of paint. And now that it dried, I've gone ahead and painted it. And as you can see, there's no hint of where the cracks originally were. So it's done. And now we go from this to a nice clean ceiling. Cracks in the ceiling like this are always a result of insufficient support in a seam in the ceiling or wall. Add the support and you'll remove the crack forever.